Alrighty, everybody. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. This is, of course, my first stream on Twitch. I didn't know that I'm limited to a single hour of video capture, so this is kind of the last hour. It was essentially meant for new players and how to kind of get started. Of course, if you are a new player to MechWarrior 5, you can see how I'm going through and repairing things. Whenever you start in the first story, it does start kind of giving you mechs, like that Jenner right there. You gain that pilot and that mech, and with the new DLCs, they start out with some pretty good gear. Little rule of thumb and something that you should aim to do when you're going throughout the game is just put a lot of your armor up front. Enemies tend to attack you in your uppermost front. They tend to attack you directly. Very rarely will they get behind you. Usually they have to be like a light mech or something like that, and then they try to take out the lighter armor in the back. I would highly recommend putting all that armor up front. If all but like 10 or 11 tons of it, so that way, well, I wouldn't say tons, 10 or 11 armor points of it. Of course, with the armor, it's something like 0.1 ton per add-on that you add, or it's probably 0.2 something. Long story short, you will have to determine where you want armor and where you don't. Usually, rule of thumb with finding computers and things of that nature, put it up front, and then just be sure to adjust your front torso towards your enemy as much as possible. Usually, if there's just a single enemy behind you, you just let that go. You can switch around and kill it. It's usually a light mech or something that isn't that much of a bother to you. The chances of it taking out your weapon or enough of your structure for it to matter is very low. Of course, you can see me going through here, looking through and trying to choose weapons. Usually, I would advise to try and get some pretty decent weapons, so that way you can kit yourself out, so you can better, live through the missions. Currently, right now, I think what I'm doing is selling stuff so I can get more mechs. My number one objective when I'm starting out or getting going is selling all the stuff I really don't need, because you're going to accumulate that very quickly at the very beginning, and then going through the trouble of just hunting down specific mechs. Like, I had a chance to keep an assassin at one point, and I chose against it. It was worth more to me to get the million some odd credits that it gave me. I think it was 1,000,005 or something like that, because that gave me the opportunity to pick up a Phoenix Heart. With the Phoenix Heart, they're not super good mechs, but they're better than assassin. Especially the one I was looking at, I do believe it was all energy. The problem with it is you eventually get bottlenecked by how many seal paint sinks you can use. Of course, this is just the campaign, just a little ways in, not super far in. You start with those first two mechs, and then it gives you the Jenner for free, and then that last spider mech is it's literally what I was explaining prior before. I was selling as much as I could, and maybe even a little bit over, just so I could, fill out my roster. I wanted at least, 4 mechs and 4 pilots. So let's see here. I'm picking up medium rifle ammo and stuff like that. So I tend to like the rifle weapons a bit, not a lot. I'll use them from time to time. It really just does depend how badly I need them. With large lasers, I prefer the extended range ones, but I do believe I just end up picking up some large laser short bursts. Of course, you want half-ton ammo. It's one of those situational things where under certain circumstances, it's better to carry an extra half-ton ammo if you can pull it. Here I was looking at if I could pick up that Vulcan. I mean, it's not super important that I got that Vulcan, but it would have helped. Later on, you'll see what I was talking about prior before, that there's a Phoenix Heart up for sale. There's also a Dervish, and there was also a Dragoon. So I almost had enough for the Phoenix Heart at the end of this run. I was looking at the trebuchet just to kind of get an idea.
Assassin.
Of course, there's an assassin.
They're fast.
Wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the ones I sold. Of course, I look through the pilots. You always want to stop in and just look through the roster of pilots to see if any of them are of value. You never know. Sometimes you can end up skipping, a pilot that has 60 points like you do. Never have been the one. Found a couple of them with 30. I end up picking up that was Cantina missions. After you accomplish them, you get reputation, and you'll be able to upgrade. They give you upgrades and things like that. They give you a ton of money and stuff like that as well. The Dervish, there it is. With the Dervish here, I call it the Dervish. With the Dervish, it's more of like a missile boat. It's not particularly a good. It's not a good 55-ton mech, to be honest. Like a lot of people, I know, will probably think otherwise, but it really isn't. Of course, there you go. That's me buying a large leader short burst. So a lot of people think that does less damage, but all in all, it just makes it easier to keep up with your heat. So instead of overheating as much, you should overheat less. You will see me goof a couple times and still overheat, even though there are short bursts. I do believe I have quite a few short burst medium lasers. I think I have like 2 of them, and you can kind of shoot back and forth with the different weapons groups to try and keep from overheating. As you can see right there, Lieutenant York, he's got 31 points. I should be getting rid of somebody with like 1 armor. Oh no, it's the other guy besides that guy. So I'm keeping at least 4 pilots on. You usually don't want more than that when you're starting out, because you're going to really push a lot of your money out the door that way. Hiring one of them is hundreds of thousands of credits, and then keeping them up and running by paying their salary, it's like 10,000, 20,000, something like that, but it's still money out the door instead of money coming in. So you should always get as much money as you can to kind of fill out your roster, so you can get better missions that give you more reputation. Of course, you're going to see here the missions I keep taking by checking the information and stuff like that are going to be against pirates. Pirates are going to hate me at the end of the game. At least that's my objective, is to make only one enemy, and it's pirates. Of course, it is a bit of a hassle to have to narrow down just pirates. And, of course, just pirates are not going to have some of the best mechs that you can get a hold of. Some people usually like making an enemy of the Kurita, the Dragon faction. Not Russell Stan, but the actual Kurita. Kurita are viewed as bad people usually. Keyword usually. I like them. They have quite a very large selection of mechs that I really like. So there's like the Hamato and the King Crab and things like that. They just appear more often in Kurita space. So I tend not to go out of my way to make enemies of them. Of course, when you're first starting out in the campaign, it's going to make you fight them a couple times. But I would recommend doing missions for them, not particularly against them. Focus on pirates and work with Kurita against it. Try to avoid messing with the independents too, because independents are also a faction of themselves. And they own stores as well. you really would like to eke out as much money as you can possibly. So the most profitable action you can do is not making enemies of people, because it takes a long time to repair relationships with companies past like their first or second stage. So when your number drops to more than -1. When it's at -1, it's pretty easy to kind of work that back. So of course right here, this is just a mission where, and this is a pretty simple one, I just have to fight. Of course, I'm kind of under tonnage because of the amount of mechs I could get a hold of at any one point in time. I'm sure there may have been a different way to go about it, but I'm skilled enough that I can deal with that. Of course, I'm harassing the Phoenix Hawk. Oh, it's a Phoenix Hawk. My bad. I've been getting that name wrong. I'm harassing the Phoenix Hawk to, of course, lure it out. As you can see on PlayStation, it's going to do kind of a... what's the word for it? I did not know that was a Manicore. That's the reason why I was approaching it so boldly. They have PPCs on them. That's what that blue electric gun is. It hurts. It's not particularly something you want to be taking to your front, or anywhere for that matter. Of course, the first thing I do with Phoenix Hawks, I try to break their legs. I was willing to overheat just to do so. This runs hot because I'm using SRMs instead of LRMs. So LRMs could have, softened him up a little bit, but it wouldn't give me an option where I could literally push the heat until I couldn't no more. I of course want to push the heat as far as I can get it before I overheat. The reason why is because damage output. As long as I can keep myself steaming hot and do a lot of damage, I don't really care. Of course, as you can see, I'm also like picking off pieces in hopes that if it does drop, I can pick it up. Funnily enough, this is not the mech to, look forward to. The big one is going to be, well, I'm not going to read it for you. It's one of the good mechs in the medium range, so you just kind of guess away.
See why it suggests 250s.
Of course, with this, I didn't have the opportunity to get the audio right. Something went wrong with my mic, so of course ignore the little blips that may come through. That's probably me trying to talk, and just a headphone was messed up or something was going on.
Apparently there's more than one.
Of course, with a medium mech, you're not going to be super quick. It's going to take you some time to really get around here. Of course, that's a Scorpion tank. Scorpion tanks are more annoying than some of the laser platforms. They tend to shoot you a couple times in the back. And it really is something I like having to deal with constantly. They're everywhere, of course, but they can shoot you from far away because they use like an AC2, and it doesn't really hurt at first. Well, no, they have a full AC5, so it doesn't really hurt at first, but it starts adding up, especially if they're shooting you in the back. If you have like 11 armor in the back and they shoot you 3 times, they've already ate through your back armor, and it's really annoying. That's the reason why I don't care for them. J. Edgars are worse than them because J. Edgars can SRMs and stuff like that. The absolute worst one is the Manicore. I can live with the SRMs, the short-range mission carriers, and the like that. That's not that much of a bother. They usually don't hit, and they have to drop a lot of ammo to do anything to you, in my opinion. I do wish that the front half of this got recorded, but unfortunately it was player half. I had done a 4-hour stream of this, and hopes get Twitch up and running. I also saw somebody was having a hard time on this game, So I was kind of hoping that if they watched me play, they would see kind of some of the best ways to go about the game, so that they can kind of get started and get rolling. Because people can talk, but it's better to usually see a video of how it's going, so you can get started with the game. This is me harassing those units over there, so that way they will pop out and fight me. You will see at some point it does start working. There they are. Yeah, they started coming out. So as you can tell, there's a Hunchback. So I quite like the Hunchbacks. They're pretty useful. You can see that I'm not giving them the higher ground at any point. I'm not leveling out the playing field. I definitely 100% want to be shooting down and more accurately into the enemy's face. So it's a good thing that I did do quite a bit of damage to this Hunchback, because it would have been really hard to pick this up if its components were all together. So it did cost me a pretty penny to repair this mech after I took it out, but I think it was worth it. He really didn't hit me. He did a terrible job at doing damage to me, and he ended up with just that. I don't know if I cockpit him in this one, or I take out his core. I would like to say I cockpit him, but I'm not sure. Because it's real close. Like, you can see, usually when you're trying to cockpit a mech, you want to aim higher than their head. See, I did that, and I don't know if I hit his core or if I hit his head. Because at one point his head did go yellow. So yeah, those are dropping out, and I don't run from them. I'm mainly trying to get as much salvage as I can to fill out my lines. I'm not trying to do what a lot of people do, where they're just like, oh yeah, just take the sea bales, it'll be fine, blah blah blah. That's too easy, and I don't think that's also the best profitable way to go about things. Way too many people are stating that you shouldn't do salvage shares at all. You should do sea bills. I don't find that to be good to do in the game. As you saw, I was turning away to get out of that situation because they're about to take my arm. Luckily, I have a backup AC-10 after this. I still like the fact that I didn't run from them particularly. I don't run from enemies usually. The only time I do run from them is when I know without a doubt in my mind I can get away from them and I am outnumbered or outmatched. Which doesn't happen often because I usually run really heavy things. I don't put all the weapon, like the heavy ordnance, in the hands of the NPCs that help you out, your other squad mates. These other pilots are kind of hit or miss on whether they're good or not, especially on console. On computer, you can kind of download a mod that really helps fix that. As you could see before, I jumped off and I was like, maybe this has jump jets. It does not. I completely removed jump jets on it in the interest of armoring it up. I don't do jump jets unless it's like one, and that's really just to get above somebody and shoot down on them. Of course, with any firefight, you're going to want the higher ground. Whoever has the higher ground is going to do better. So I switched over back to my Centurion because I heard York, my Lieutenant York, he was saying that he lost a component. I know that was my AC-10 from experience. If you're losing a component and there wasn't any other mech that was really beat up, then there's a good chance it was the one that was on. So they really do work over pretty good here. Luckily, I have replacements for all these items. Again, I'm not really too stressed about this situation. Yeah, it'll be a good bit of repair stuff, but I'm pretty sure I have damage coverage on this, and it takes a lot to overcome that damage coverage cost. The most it does is time, and time can be, you know. Yeah, he punched me, so he's not gonna make it. So we have a spider that's stuck over there for some reason. So orange is fine. Red is not. That thing hit me in my upper right hand torso. So instead of losing my arm and my chest, I just full on shot that thing to me. They've already took my AC-10, so of course trying to hit them with it, it's just not working out. They also took out my SRM, so my short range missile is not working. I'm having to just see. At that point, I was starting to become too much of an expense to deal with them. I already got pretty good salvage off of that. A Phoenix Hawk,
Oh, I lost an AC2 in that trade.
Hunchback, and a couple other mechs I could have swore there was another mech right beside the Hunchback. Yeah.
15.
So yeah, you can see there's the Phoenix Hawk. I curved that thing down. Spider, and then of course the Hunchback. So yeah, I poured it.
I'm not sure they have a Hunchback for being honest.
Which, I mean, that's fine. It allowed me to actually pick up the Hunchback. Of course, that would become my backup mech for the second set of missions. So when you do multi-missions, if it's a 2-mission multi-mission, you want 2 rows of mechs. It is costly for upkeep if you do that, but it's definitely still worth it, because if you have to arm them and then go into the mission because you're in a battle area, a war zone, it will cost you more anyways. So I'd much rather just pay the maintenance fee and go about my business.
It's most.
And you do multi-missions to kind of offset that. Of course, if you're really worried about that, you can strip all your mechs and put them in cold storage and then pull them back out and refit them. It's just going to be a pain and aggravating. First, you can see here, I'm going to pick up these medium laser short bursts. So as you can clearly see, the damage is lower, but that's the initial hit of the damage. If you look at the rounds per minute, it will be higher than the mediums. Pretty much it burns back down to the same amount of damage with more capability of being able to shoot it without overheating. That's the main thing that you want short bursts for. Medium lasers are not good for that. They will keep shooting and they will shut you down and then you get shot to death. And especially if you take a lot of heat over what your mech can handle, I do believe it stays down for longer. That being said, if you go a little bit over, get back up again, the enemy NPCs will notice this and they will start targeting you nonetheless. But if you're targeting me and I'm back up and able to work on whatever the problem is, I prefer that. As you can see, I'm taking down the armor on the head and usually the back to try and maximize the amount up front that I have in armor to keep myself safe.
Looks good to me. Okay. So what to repair that?
Alright, and then that's set to repair. And of course you can see pirates versus people. So my reputation's already bad with them. It's not any benefit to me or to the pirates with me helping them. House Cicada, it makes sense to help them just because they take up a good portion of it.
Tell over your reputation if you're intelligent.
The reason why I check those, as you can see. And of course I set all that up so that way when I jump through, all of my stuff was repaired and ready to go.
160.
Unfortunately, I think this is where I pick a mission that was bad to pick and then suffer with it through the mission. So when you have to
The defense.
scout out an area and not get caught, there's a lot of mechs that will come and fight you if you mess that up. And I think that's where I get stuck. It's one of my least favorite missions. I don't like doing it. I mostly do it because of the reputation and payout that it gives you. Of course, as you can see, I've only painted 2 of these mechs. I haven't painted the other 2. Those are just salvaged as it is. I'm setting this up to have as much weight as I could.
So definitely 14.
Without, postponing the mission.
This takes a day or 2 to do. So.
And I just ran it. I don't know if this is a good one or the bad one. I think this is the good one where it's just damage. No, this is protect. So this one goes fine. This is the protect mission I did. So protects are not bad. They're bothersome because sometimes they'll ask that I keep it above 70% or 80% health. Luckily, this one did not.
Great.
Replace that. Survive the onslaught and kill all enemy units.
Pretty sure I'm down.
Of course, unfortunately, we have a bunch of really light enemies to deal with. But you will see when this enemy comes out.
First one met.
Alright, we'll deal with it accordingly. So with faster mechs, you really just want to break the leg. I don't care how bad you wish you could get the mech with a headshot and everything like that. It's not going to really happen if they're moving at the speed of a cheetah. Some of the mechs actually can run at 70 miles per hour, so I just cut the legs off of anything too quick to deal with or too annoying to put up with. I've had quite a few mechs pop up as salvage where it's just their legs missing. That's fine. I've cockpitted a lot of mechs as well. It just depends on how much salvage shares I have. The size of the mech. A lighter mech's gonna be less salvage shares. Breaking its legs off ain't gonna really put it in a situation where I can't pick it up. Of course, hopefully, with enough time, I should be able to pick up another, a better audio quality for everybody that listens. And on any of my streams or my videos.
Your resistance is pulling in more hostiles from the surrounding
I will have to keep those about an hour long though, because anything more than that, I won't be able to record with the limited equipment that I have. But I would like to be able to record all the stuff that I do, but can't always do that. Definitely, if you're a new player, one of the more annoying mechs is going to be the fire starter. It always gets behind you, it always hits you with fire, and it always shoots you with a machine gun. It's a very aggravating mech. Also, if you're new and you haven't fully grasped the concept of controlling the lance, you will see me constantly hitting up 30 times. That usually just means attack this specific target and make sure it doesn't live. That's pretty much what I did, I do believe, with that commando. I was not going to put up with that shooting me in the back constantly. So this fire starter, I thought it somehow got around us. It's actually going around the mountain. So we have plenty of time to deal with it. As you can see, I'm also getting ready to tell them to attack my target. I do not care for fire starters. I'm sure if you've played long enough, you will completely understand. Also kept it from running up to me and punching me in the stomach. I really hate mechs that do that. For some reason, that seems like a more common thing with whatever update they've put in, this latest update. I don't know if it's made the enemy NPCs more aware that they can punch you, but they seem to do it more often now. Which is bad for you. For me, I'll just take your leg out before you get to me, and then good luck reaching me to punch me. If you're limping along with your mech, you're not going nowhere fast. Also makes them a lot easier to cockpit. If you move super slow, I can trim off your weapons and then cockpit you. Or I can just cockpit you. It really does burn down to how many shares I have. Of course, I do believe this is where I pick up the assassin. Yeah. So, you never really want a cicada. I know people that like cicadas are going to be like, oh, I can't believe you said that. No, cicadas suck. Flat out. They have no arms to punch with. They really don't gain the extra tankiness that arms give you. They're just basically a central thing of weapons, and as soon as one of those things pop, they're done for. Of course, you can do the same thing to other mechs, you're just more likely to hit their arms. That's the reason why people care for cicadas. They're fast. They're super fast. You can zoom, zoom, zoom all around. But in a better option is the Phoenix Hawk. This thing zooms around just fine.
Energy.
It usually has one large laser, so I use that to cockpit people. It's just a headshot for newer people. And yep, I sell this here. Yeah, this is what I was mentioning before. You really just want to try and get as much as you can get. I go ahead and sell this Locust as well. You don't tend to use a Locust. I mean, that could have worked good for one of my allies, but it wasn't worth that kind of situation. So I repair here. I get super close to being able to afford the Phoenix Hawk. I sell a bunch of equipment to get even closer. The way I got the Spider is I did this same situation where I went through all of the things I could sell and I got rid of them. As you can see, I am struggling with the idea of not having some of these weapons, because when you're starting out, you're very limited to what you can use. Just because your mechs and what they use, eventually you will build up enough mechs that everything is an effective item, and the weapons you like most, you will always be able to get, regardless of if you do multi-missions or not. You'll just set yourself up with 2 mechs that can run Gauss cannons, or you'll set yourself up with 2 mechs that can run large lasers that you could probably do a large pulse laser, but I wouldn't recommend it. Those are just a lot heavier for more damage and less heat, but it's just, they're a lot heavier. I don't really find a benefit in that unless you don't have the upgrades for energy damage or energy cooldown and recycling, where you can actually shoot it again. You can increase the fire rate of energy weapons. So I saw that Dragoon, and I also was like, well, in that case, I'll just go do a mission and get enough to get the Dragoon. So you do kind of get in a situation where you try to determine what you want most, and a heavier mech than what I have currently, for me to run, is going to be worth more than for my allies to run.
Yep,
Don't get me wrong, allies can run, weaker mechs pretty fine. Getting them the experience they need is very important, but you're going to end up at the very beginning switching out pilots quite often. One of the pilots you won't be switching out is the one that it gives you as a character that you get from playing the story. He's the guy manning the Jenner. Of course, Jenners are also mechs that you won't particularly care for. I'm sure people love them. Again, they're super quick. They're kind of like the Cicada, but they just don't benefit from the armor. Those little flaps on the side of them pop pretty easy, and enemies get through them pretty quick.
So work.
They're fast, though. That's like the Assassin. It's fast, though. I used to run an Assassin 4 times. It's not a mech that I would run often, just because, you can zoom around, but it's a lot easier just to brawl it out. Alright, and then at this point, you'll just see me struggling to
It's a fucking alarm.
get all these mission parameters done. I don't know if this one we finish and then we get another one that's just as bad, but these missions suck. I don't like them. The only way you like this mission is if this type of mission is if you have other people that man these other mechs. A lot of the time it tells you to toggle on fire and toggle off fire, and fighting enemies without your allies' help is mildly annoying, to say the least. Sometimes you'll be fighting these enemies and they'll have a lot more than just one mech, so you have to kill them in a very short time period before they alert the base. Something like 26 seconds, or it's aggravating. It might be minutes in the game, but it's not enough. I mean, it is, depending on what weaponry you have. That's the reason why I find it ironic. It tells you to use light mechs in these type of missions. No. You should probably use something that has a high rate of fire.
There are 13 of them.
That is the exact opposite of a light mech. It's either heavy or an assault. And having a heavy or an assault that has just a stupid amount of round displacement where you can take out mechs super quick. Usually lasers would be my recommendation, but you can't always have everything that you want when you want it, especially when you're starting out. So these missions I would recommend not doing if you can avoid them. I unfortunately put myself in a position where that it wasn't that avoidable. Maybe a little bit,
Oh,
but
the big Mech.
it was way better just to go ahead and run it and get it done. As you saw, I told my Lance to go ahead and start shooting them. I'll save you a lot of trouble. I don't get through this mission. I actually end up running it a couple times, and ultimately I just end up folding for the night because it got like super late. I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. Of course, what you saw there, I isolated the left-hand weapon of the Irby, and I took that out super quick. I noticed that one of the enemies was still alive, so I killed it. One of the things that is odd in this mission is there is a free an ally option. What happens is if you free that ally, somehow it activates the alarm. I have no clue how, it just does. Again, I will reiterate, I don't particularly care for these missions, so I don't run them often, so I'm not going to know everything about them. I will say that you get multiple objectives with them. Usually it's to pick up something. You could probably lead with just picking up one of these things. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take the easy route. I'm going to try and maximize the amount of money per mission that I get through. It would probably be smarter to just take the money and run, but it's probably not good money. It's probably not good salvage. It's just not going to be a sell for me. I'm one of those people, I want to make sure I complete it to its utmost. I told all of them to form up on me because that last mission where the spider was caught on something, I don't want that again. I'm still a medium mech. I'm not super tanky. I'm decently tanky. So I want all of my backup mechs backing me up. Also, in these missions, you have a time limit on how much you can get away with before they radio in enemy units. You will, I guess what we'll do is we'll cut this short when you see me try to free the ally, and then that goes south, and we'll go from there. It's been so long since I played one of these, I did not know or remember on the two that doing that blue mission will activate the. See, I saw this, and I think at one point I considered attacking it, and then I was like, wait a minute, he's not on the objective. So I don't have to. See that guy that just spoke? He's a really good pilot for the beginning. I think he has like 43 points. He's more than most people you will find. And he runs a Beginner mech though. There's that. He has a benefit for it now at least. Beginners just...
These two are not really...
They just don't. They don't really inspire a lot of brawly tankiness in my mind. They inspire go fast, but I don't know how well an ally NPC is going to pilot a mech that's light. They do okay. I would think, somebody that's an actual light pilot is highly skilled. Usually, if I was running a light mech or somebody else was running a light mech, I have a very good feeling that they're super dangerous, and I would try to kill them as fast as I can. With NPCs, it's less of an issue. I would be more terrified of 3 people, not NPCs, 3 actual players running light mechs than I would be of 2 assaults. I can deal with 2 assaults. I can deal with them pretty easily if I'm running what I need to be running. But with light mechs, if you're super quick and you have like engines set up, you can outrun people's shots, and it'll be real hard to pin you down. See here, right here. This is where they start calling out, and then I realize I'm kind of screwed. See, it says evac when ready, evac without the general alarm going off. I just see these going off, and it says alert. All Lance units come in and fight. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to fight a little squad of mechs. And then I forgot that there's 9 mechs here. So the first thing I do is I walk on the Panther originally. Unfortunately, flying helicopters are a pain. Now I turn back around, trying to deal with that. So we're gonna get flat out jumped. There's that. I took that to my gun. Yeah, and that right there is artillery that's firing on us. If you're new, artillery sucks to get hit by. It's almost as bad as this PPC hitting you, maybe worse. It's definitely worse because it damages everywhere. Of course, I get punched. As you can see, my torso locks a couple times. This is where I'm starting to feel the pain and the annoyance of fighting. I'm pretty sure at one point I die here. This is just me, bullying an Irby that's been shooting me nonstop. And of course, I try to, I think I leg this guy and then move on to the next. Like, he's annoying, but he's not enough to be a bother. The one that's a real bother is the PPC hitting me. He was enough of annoyance I turned on him to definitely finish him off, but I'm starting to run out of heat. And there goes the mark. So now I've lost another AC-10. It's kind of at that situation where this is more of an expense than it is a profit. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, just above where my mech is getting trashed on, there's missions. Yeah, right here. And then that's where I restart.
So,
of course, we'll go ahead and last here because it's just a repeat of that. I will get past this mission eventually, but not today. I thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and if you have a chance, come watch me on Twitch either this afternoon or whenever. Just set up something so that way and then you can see me showing you how to do the game live. I'd really appreciate anybody that stopped by during one of the live streams. I want to do that more often than I the actual videos, and then after the live streams I'll commentate it. Of course, that being all, I'll go ahead and sign off here.